Alright, so welcome back to another video. This is upon request of a viewer, and he wants to know what are some of the common misconceptions of people with schizophrenia. So, for that, pull up my tablet, right? And because I know of the common misconceptions that people have about me. Um, so I don't know some of the other more common misconceptions about schizophrenia. So we're going to consult Google. So we're going to go to common stigmas of schizophrenia. And let's see what we get. um Not really getting anything good, so we're gonna change it to common misconceptions about schizophrenia. Um, well, let's just go to WebMD, right? Sorry, it was kind of a boring 2 minutes there. I'm just trying to find something good. Um, so the first one they come up with, and I have a list on a piece of paper here too, if they don't have enough in here, but supposedly they have 9 different myths about people with schizophrenia. And of course, I'm getting ads up the ass. Um, so the first common myth, and you hear this one a lot, is it means you have multiple personalities. And I guess from what they're saying on a poll found that 64% of Americans believe the condition involves a split personality, which means that someone acts like they're two separate people. Oh, stupid McAfee wants to run a scan right now, of course. Um, and that's not true. A person with schizophrenia doesn't have two different personalities. Rather, it's more like having two realities. In my opinion, having schizophrenia is like having multiple realities rather than multiple personalities. Uh, they have false ideas, and they've lost touch with reality as anyone without schizophrenia would have. People without schizophrenia are in touch with reality. People with schizophrenia have a false sense of reality. A lot of the times, because we have delusions, right? And we have hallucinations, and we hear voices sometimes. I don't hear voices. But I do have the intrusive thoughts, like I said. Um, so, Sorry. Um, and like I said, for me, it's like having multiple realities, right? And I still experience that when it comes to sleeping and waking up. I have very vivid dreams. I have very realistic dreams where I can touch and I can feel things, and it's just like living in real life where there's days I sleep and I wake up and I have memories of dreams and I have memories of reality, and I can't tell if the remembrance I'm having is a remembrance of something that happened in a dream, or if it's a remembrance of something that happened in real life. Um, so that's one delusion I still have, right? Because we're not in touch with reality. We don't touch base with reality like normal people do, right? So I'll have a situation that may have happened in a dream. I can't tell if it happened in reality or if it really was from a dream. That's something I still deal with, and I'll probably deal with for the rest of my life. Um, and sometimes I'll have to ask people like, "Hey, did this happen?" And they'll say either yes, it happened, or no, it didn't. So I could tell from there if it really happened in a dream or not. But when it doesn't involve people, but when the things that happen in the dreams don't involve people that I know in real life, that's harder because now I don't have anybody to back up. Uh, hey, this happened in real life, or no, this just happened in a dream. And it can be scary sometimes depending on the dream, right? So, moving on. The next myth is most people with schizophrenia are violent or dangerous. Uh, Actually, I'm just reading what it says here. Yeah, that's what I thought. Okay. Yeah, so most people who have schizophrenia, though we can be unpredictable at times, most of us are not violent or dangerous. And people think everybody with schizophrenia is violent or dangerous because of what they see on TV, right? With schizophrenia, where do people get most of their information on people with schizophrenia? On TV. They don't go around and do research on people with schizophrenia. They don't take the time to go find someone with schizophrenia and ask them about it, or watch videos of people who post about it on YouTube, right? Um, though we might have violent thoughts, or we might hear voices that tell us violent things. Does that make us violent people? No, because most of us, even though we have the thoughts, even though we have the voices, we have control over our actions. So, um, but is it scary? Hell yeah, it's scary. You imagine that. You imagine you having voices of telling you to do bad things to either yourself or to other people, or having thoughts and your intrusive thoughts in your head that are constantly about harming yourself or harming other people. Put yourself in our situation, how scary that would be. um it's scary enough to talk about, but actually having it, I mean, I wish there was a simulation or a test people could take to experience what it's like, because unless you have it, and it would just show you how exhausting it is to have it too on top of that. Um but aside from having those things, does that mean most of us are violent people or dangerous? Absolutely not. A lot of the people I know that have schizophrenia are some of the nicest down to earth people that you'll ever meet. So I mean, just because we're unpredictable at times doesn't mean that we're violent. I mean, there are those people with severe cases of schizophrenia who have been violent and who are violent, but most of them are locked up and put away in institutions. Um, and so those people are closely monitored. Um, but the vast majority of people with schizophrenia are not violent people, right? Um, Myth number 3, bad parenting is the cause. Um, I'm mixed on this one. Um, oh, and back to the second myth about people being violent. It says here that when people with this brain disorder do commit violent acts, they usually have another condition like childhood conduct problems or substance abuse, which is also true. Um, so bad parenting is the cause, and mothers in particular are often blamed. Um, but like they said here, it's true. It has many causes: genes, trauma, drug abuse, um, mistakes you made as a parent won't give your child this condition. Um, I might disagree because if you're the parent that caused the trauma in your child's life, um, like constantly yelling at them or putting them down and making them feel bad, um, kind of like what I experienced growing up. Um, you're the trauma, the psychological and emotional trauma and abuse you caused as a parent could very well have led to the diagnosis and the person having the disorder of schizophrenia. For me, I believe it was not just the trauma and psychological and emotional abuse I received at home. Uh, I believe that was part of it, but I don't believe that was the sole cause. I think it was the psychological and emotional abuse that I experienced from home and from outside sources, like from the cultist organization I was in, from friends, from teachers, from peers at school, from the people I went to the cultist organization with as a younger person. And I think it was just a culmination of all the stress, the mental stress it puts on you, that finally broke some wires in my brain and caused me to have, along with other stresses in life, because I had a lot of other stresses in adulthood when I finally came up with schizophrenia that that I blame for being the cause of my schizophrenia. Though my schizophrenia could come from genetics also. It could have always been there and just didn't show itself until I was 25. Um, I'm not sure to this day if it was genetics, if it was because of the psychological and emotional prolonged abuse that I received um, growing up and as an adult. It could be a mixture of both. So to this day, I don't know for me, um, but I kind of disagree on that myth. I'm kind of in the middle though, because I don't think bad parenting necessarily is causation for schizophrenia, because correlation does not always equal causation, right? Um, so I think sometimes it can be a factor, but I don't think it is the root cause. So myth number 4: if your parent has schizophrenia, you'll get it too. Genes do play a role, but just because your parents have the mental illness, I don't think that means that you're destined to get it, right? And that's pretty much what they say here. They continue to say if one parent has schizophrenia, you're at risk of getting the condition is about 10%. Having more than one family member with it raises your risk. So the more people in your family who have schizophrenia, the more likely you are to um, uh, I have such disorganized thoughts, man. That's a part of having schizophrenia. Um, there's a word I was looking for that I used multiple times in this video. It starts with a D. um, develop. There we are. So the more people you have in your family with schizophrenia, the more likely you are to develop it. But I know plenty of people who don't have schizophrenia in their genes who developed it, so it's a toss up. People with schizophrenia aren't smart. That's bullshit. That is absolutely not true. Some people of the most smartest people I know have schizophrenia, right? They have like honors degrees in college and scholarships, and they are scholars, and they have schizophrenia. I myself am studying psychology in college, and I'm doing pretty well in it. So, I mean, that's bullshit to say that people with schizophrenia aren't smart simply because um, we have more trouble on taking tests and more trouble paying attention and learning and with memory because of either the thoughts we have going on in our head or because of the voices they hear, the hallucinations. Um, but that doesn't mean we're not intelligent by any means. Like for me, I'm in the disabled students program at school, so I get help with note taking and I get longer test taking times because I have a harder time taking tests and taking notes as quickly and efficiently as my peers uh, who are normal and can take tests a lot more efficiently because they don't have the disorganized thoughts like I do, right? Um, so I mean, there's a good example, right? The Nobel Peace Prize, the Nobel Prize winning mathematician John Nash. If you haven't read up about Mr. John Nash, you should go look him up. But a lot of people there are actually a lot of links that people with psychosis and people with schizophrenia are actually very creative people. So, um, you know, that's just bullshit that people with schizophrenia are not intelligent or smart. They get out of here with that shit. Myth number 6: if you have schizophrenia, you belong in a mental hospital. Absolutely not. And I said that this was one of the questions that I posed in one of my recent videos, right? Um, so that's another stigma. Um, there was a time when people with schizophrenia were sent to mental health institutions or even prisons because we didn't have the know how to deal with them, right? Um, but now that experts know more about the disease, fewer people need to be placed in those long-term, prolonged psychiatric wards. Like I said, I was there once, and some people do need to be hospitalized, yeah. But most people who are being treated for schizophrenia, uh, we don't need to be in there, especially if you're pretty well handled like I am. Myth number 7: you can't hold a job if you have schizophrenia. Schizophrenia can make it harder to land a job and go to work every day, but with the right treatment, many people can find a position that fits their skills and abilities. Personally, um, uh, I think once you have a job as a schizophrenic, you can hold it. Finding a job as a schizophrenic when people find out about it, that's kind of a harder situation. Like that's a situation I find myself in because I haven't been employed for 3 years. I've been unemployed. I haven't been able to find a job because they ask why it's been so long, and I can't lie to them about why I haven't worked, right? I have to have an excuse, and my excuse is my schizophrenia and anxiety, so I have to tell them. and nobody really wants to hire a person with schizophrenia or anxiety. Um, and that's been my reason of why I can't get a job. I've been looking pretty much I since I've had the illness, but now that my anxiety's gone, I'm gonna start looking pretty hard again, and it's gonna be rough for me. It's gonna be rough, but I think I can find something with enough willpower. Um, but I gotta be honest with them at the same time, and if they choose to discriminate against me because I have a mental health condition, well, then that's their choice. If they don't want to hire a person with a mental health disorder, unfortunate for them. Schizophrenia makes people lazy. Um, that's not exactly a myth, because, but I don't think it necessarily turns us into lazy people. It just makes us extremely lethargic. And a lot of us find comfort in sleeping all day. Like, I remember when I had my very bad bouts with the intrusive thoughts, that um, I found no other source of anything to do. Like, all I wanted to do was lay down in my bed. It was just so draining, and it was so all consuming that I didn't have any other outlet of entertainment. I didn't have Nothing was fun anymore. Um, all the things I enjoyed weren't enjoyable. Um, so, and I was just all consumed by my thoughts that the only thing I wanted to do was just lay down in bed all day. Um, so I don't think it necessarily means people are lazy, um, but it does definitely make most people lethargic, I can say. And I'm not the only one to come out and say that has schizophrenia. If you have schizophrenia and you've ever felt or not felt lethargic, please comment that down in the comment section below. Myth number 9, you can never recover from it. Bullshit. Um, I am living proof that you can recover from schizophrenia. Like I said, I still have the intrusive thoughts that pop up every now and then, very rarely, like I mentioned before, they pop up, and I know how to handle them now. And I am being treated with medication and psychotherapy. Um, and I'm pretty much a recovered schizophrenic. I mean, um, so they're saying here that 25% of people with the disease will recover completely. Another 50% will see some improvement in their symptoms. Um, so for me, um, I wouldn't say I recovered completely, but it's pretty close. I would say on a scale of 1% to 100% of complete recovery, I'm probably about 96 to 98% completely recovered. Um, because I still do experience some symptoms of schizophrenia. Like I said, when it comes to sleeping, I have very realistic dreams, and I can't tell if certain things happened in a dream or if certain things happen in reality. Um, so I still experience some symptoms of my schizophrenia, right? And sometimes I do feel very lethargic, where I don't want to get out of the bed, um, you know, where I just don't have the energy to do anything else but be in the bed all day. You know, so sometimes I have the well, a lot of the times I have the disorganized thoughts, and you notice that here on some of my videos, and you'll notice that throughout my videos that I have very disorganized thoughts, that I can't stick to one subject. Um, and I lose track or lose focus on the subject I'm talking about a lot of the time. But to say that it's an incurable or unrecoverable disease, no, with the right medication and treatment plan, it's a very curable disease, especially if you catch it early, like I did. But there's a larger portion of people who get treated only experience their symptoms minimized. And I think I fall more into that category than people who fully recover. But there are a lot of great success and recovery stories of people who just, they simply don't have the symptoms anymore, and it's gone, and they're living lives like they did before. And I kind of fall into both of those categories, right? The 50% and the 25%, because I'm living my life like I used to before I had my symptoms of schizophrenia. If not, my life's a lot better than it was before I had schizophrenia. Um, and so to say that you can never recover from the disease or the illness, I think that's a crock of shit. And I think anybody who tells you that is full of shit, and you shouldn't listen to them. Um, so, I mean, yeah, some people, they still live their lives with the symptoms, but they can be mitigated, and they can be, um, they can be, what's the word I'm looking for? Lessened, we'll just say. um, but then there are those severe cases where the people just can't get rid of their symptoms, and they go on with those symptoms the rest of their lives. But does that mean that they can't live happy, productive lives? Absolutely not. And I'm living proof of that. Um, so those are just some examples of common stigmas and common misconceptions about people with schizophrenia. So to the viewer who asked about that, I hope that answers your questions. And any more video topics you guys like to see, let me know in the comment section below. And we'll see you next time.